Hello ladies and gentlemen, Alex Cordbard here, and here with another tutorial. As you can hear, or maybe not, my voice is a little sore because a couple days ago was my birthday and I lost my voice for some reason. But you know what? I'm feeling about 90% better and I couldn't wait. I wanted to do a tutorial. So here we go. In this tutorial, we're going to check out how to make a simple bucket. It's going to be lots of fun. We're going to learn a lot of different techniques that will be very useful for other projects that you do. And by the end of it, we're going to have a cool little bucket. So let's get right to it. And also want to say, head on over to BlenderMania3D.com, which is the official site. It's been completely revamped and would love to see your work there. You could request a tutorial, join the community, and just join the family over there at BlenderMania3D.com. So with that, let's jump right into it and create our bucket. And hopefully, I don't lose my voice by the end of this tutorial. Alright, with the default cube selected, go into front view by hitting 1 on the numpad, and then S, X, and scale it down the X-axis. And then 3 on the numpad, S, Y, and scale it down the Y-axis, and we're basically making our plank right here for our bucket. Cool. Now go to the modifiers tab, add a modifier, and we're going to add an array modifier. We're going to change the offset right here to 1.1 for now and increase the count to about 16. Cool. Now hitting 7 on the numpad to go into top view, we're going to add a bezier circle. Shift A, add curve, bezier circle. Alright, cool. Now what we want to do is basically wrap these planks around the circle. Fairly simple to do. Selecting the planks by right clicking, add a modifier, and we're going to add a curve modifier, which will do just that. Under the object, change it, or actually don't change it because there's nothing selected, but just put bezier circle. And boom, we have our bucket. Almost. So you can see that it's overlapping. 2 ways to fix this. You could either decrease the count, or because I don't want to do that, I want to have 16 planks because I think 16 is a good number. What we're going to do instead is, with the plank selected, hit S and X, scale it on the X-axis, and because you're reducing the size of the planks, there's a little bit more room. Alright, there we go. Cool. Now, what we want to do is hit 7 on the numpad to go into top view, tab to go into edit mode, and what we're going to do is close these out a little bit more because obviously if we put water in this bucket right now, yeah, it's not going to work too well. Not too well, I might say. So hitting tab on the keyboard, clearly. Hitting tab, hit control tab, and go to edge select mode. Shift right click these 2 edges. We're going to then hit W, go to bevel, and drag these out, and this will bevel the edges, basically meaning it will add in loop cuts and smooth it out at the same time. Right after you left click, a menu right here will pop up, and if you don't have this panel open, it's just the T key. A menu will pop up right after you left click. We're going to increase the segments to 3, smooth it out a little bit more, and here again you could change the amount of the bevel. And I'm going to change the amount type to width, which will basically be a different bevel amount for what we just did. Now, hitting tab to go back into object mode, you can see that it's been beveled. I'm also going to hit the smooth key to smooth it out. And then also go ahead and make sure, I'm actually just in case going to hit tab, select everything with the A key, control N, make sure that the normals are flipped, back into object mode with the tab key. I'm going to add a modifier, edge split, And this will basically, depending on the edge angle that is set right here, it will split the edges, and basically the shadows and the light reflection and the light, how the light affects the object will be different depending on the angle that you set. So you could either make it sharper or less sharp and smoother. Now you can see that right here we have a little bit of sharpness right here, and it is definitely important which order your modifiers are in. Now we want to make sure that the edge split modifier is just above the curve modifier. We're just going to hit this up arrow on the edge split, and it's going to put it above the curve modifier, and there we have it. So that fixes that. And again, you can see that if we put it above the array modifier, that I like it below the array modifier, but again, it's very important the order in which these are in. Cool. Now what we want to do is close these off a little bit. We're gonna left click on here and shift left click actually on here, because shift basically allows for you to have smaller increments. If you just left click and drag, the increments might be too big. Shift left click and drag and just bring it to where the back of it barely just touches right there. I'm going to increase that a little bit. And then to close this final one off, I'm going to select the bezier circle, S to scale, and then shift to scale it in increments, and just bring that to a close right there. Cool. Last thing I'm going to do with this part of the bucket, select the bucket, tab to go into edit mode, control tab, vertex select mode, Z to go into wireframe, A to deselect everything, and B left click and drag to box select this, and then just bring this out a little bit. And what this will do is it will make the top of the bucket a little bit bigger, so it goes from smaller to bigger. And obviously you don't have to do this, but you can see that if I exaggerate it, what it does. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. Just leave it like this, and there we go. All right. You know, at one point during this last week, my voice was so bad, I think I could almost do some voiceovers. In a world where Blender rules them all. All right. No, but seriously, my voice was pretty bad. All right. Now that we did that, let's go ahead and add in the floor, the bottom of the bucket is what I meant. Hitting 7 to go into top view. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A. We are going to add in a mesh plane. Hit 1 on the numpad. And then let's go into orthographic view, so 5. Orthographic view basically doesn't give it perspective, and it basically flattens your whole scene. Bring this down to just a little bit above the bottom of the bucket. 7 to go into top view. S to scale. And then SY to scale it up. And you want the edges right here to go just into the circular circumference of the bucket so that you can't see the white. Then bring it out to here. And again, you want the white edge, or the edge of it, to go into the bucket a little bit as well, just in it. Not so that it's sticking out, but also so that it's not showing here. We're going to add a modifier. We're going to add an array modifier. Let's set the offset to 1.05 and increase it until it goes to the other side, and that it goes past the inside of it here. So if you had to add another one so that it goes way past, that's fine. Just make sure the inner circle of the bucket is good. And now we're going to use a really, really cool feature, actually. I mean, I like it. It's called the knife projection tool, which is pretty sweet. So what we're going to do is basically first add in an object that's going to act as our knife. Making sure our cursor is still in the center. If it's not, if it's moved, just select the bucket, Shift S cursor to selected. And now Shift A, add in a circle. Hit the 1 key and then Z to go into wireframe. 1 key on the numpad, by the way. Bring it just above the floor. hit 7 to go back into top view, Z to go into solid view, and then S to scale. And you want to scale it just so that the circumference of the white line, when you're scaling it, goes into the bucket. So right around there, left click to confirm. Now selecting the floor, we want to make sure to apply the array modifier. So we apply it, select the circle, and you might need to go into wireframe by hitting Z. Make sure to select the circle and not the Bezier circle. So select the circle, 7 to go into top view. With the circle selected, shift select the floor, or the bottom of the bucket. I keep wanting to say floor. Shift select it, hit tab to go into edit mode, and here under the tool shelf you're going to see some options that have popped up, and we're going to select the knife project tool. So this basically projects the first object that we had, which is a circle, as a knife onto our second object, which is the bottom of the bucket, and it will basically cut a hole from that projection of the first object. So go ahead and hit knife project, and now we're going to see exactly what happened if we, and again, you don't have to do this, I'm just going to move this out of the way and hit tab. You can see that we got perfectly circular cut in our mesh. Pretty sweet. I'm going to hit Control Z, bring that back there, and now what you want to do is hit Control Tab, go into face select mode, and just make sure that all the faces in the middle here are selected, and then hit Control I to invert the selection, X, and delete the faces. My voice is fine, guys. Don't worry about me. I got this. And now you can see that we have a perfectly circular wooden plank bottom floor thing. How sweet is that? I mean, look at that. You know how much time it would have taken to do that? To get it that perfectly circular too? About 5 minutes at least. So we did it in 5 seconds or a little bit more. So that's pretty cool. Now hitting 1 to go into front view. 1 on the numpad, by the way. Hit tab, Z to go into wireframe, A to select everything, and then just hit E to extrude and bring this down to the bottom so that you have a solid bottom. Cool. I'm going to hit 5 to get out of orthographic view because honestly that thing gives me a headache, and Z to go into solid view. Cool. So now we have our bottom. There we go. Now let's go ahead and create the, I don't know what they're called, but the little things right here to hold the handle. All right, we'll just call them that. Great name, Alex. So I'm going to put my 3D cursor here, left clicking, Shift A, add a mesh cube, and scale it down. Don't worry guys, my voice will be better by the next tutorial. And then SX, scale it on the X-axis. Cool. Now hitting tab to go into object mode, making sure you're in face select mode. Shift right click these 3 faces, X, delete the faces. And now we're going to hit Control R, 6 to add in 6 loop cuts. Left click to confirm, and then right click to leave it in the center. Control Tab to go into face select mode. Select this face, shift right click this face, X, and delete the faces. Control Tab, edge select mode. Alt shift right click these 2 edge loops. E to extrude, and then Z to bring it up on the Z axis. And now left click. And we're going to do something really cool here. We're going to bridge the loop cuts. So actually, this gets me excited. No, but it's actually pretty cool, just like the knife select tool. So with these 2 selected, we're going to hit W and then bridge edge loops. And what that does is it connects them. And right after you do that, before you click on anything else, a menu appears here as well. And we're going to change the number of cuts. We're just going to increase that to about 8. And there we go. You have other options here which you can mess around, but that's all I need for this. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, cool. Now hitting tab to go into object mode. Let's hit smooth shading on this. Now if you want to leave this somewhat low poly, you could just add a modifier, edge split. So we edge split it to for the shadows and the correct lighting and the correct angles on it. And then add a modifier, and you can add a solidify modifier. And a solidify modifier basically adds a thickness with this thickness factor to your object. Now again, keep in mind it's important what order your modifiers are in, so make sure to put this above the edge split modifier with the arrow key. And you can see we don't have all those weird artifacts again. So you could add a thickness to it, GZ, and just bring it down. And then you could scale it SY, scale it on the Y-axis. And you could leave it like that if you would like. However, I want to make it a little bit more high poly and more and smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the edge split modifier. I'm going to add a modifier. I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier, which basically adds geometry to your mesh and smooths it out. Now, the problem is with smoothing it out, it rounds it off too much. So in order to fix it, hit the tab key. And then right now it's basically smoothing out from this edge to this edge. If you go ahead and hit Control R and add a loop cut and bring it up, but don't bring it on top of the other one, bring it really close to the other one, it basically sharpens the edges because now it's smoothing it out from here to here instead of from here to here. So it has a shorter fall off between the two edges that are being smoothed, therefore a less drastic smoothing. We're going to do that a couple of different places, so I'm going to be hitting Control R, sliding it, and then sliding it back a little bit. Control R, slide it all the way, slide it back a little bit. Control R here. Let's add some in here too. Control R. Control R. Adding loop cuts. We're going to add some in the middle here. Control R. Control R, add loop cut, bring it all the way there. Let's see, where else do we need it? Oh yeah, on the other side here, clearly. Control R. Then down here. And one right here. And one on top here again. All right, cool. So now you can see what the loop cuts did. It basically, with the subsurf, it smoothed it out and softened it. And then with the loop cuts, we hardened it and sharpened it where we wanted to, but left the rest smooth. So subdivision surface with loop cuts is absolutely amazing. You can also increase the amount to 2, make it smooth. However, you can see right here, this is the view. I'm going to leave it at 1. But when it's going to be rendered, it's going to be rendered at 2 levels, which is cool because it looks better. Now to copy this to the other side, just go ahead and hit Shift D to copy, Y. And there we go. All right, 2 last things. We need to add the handle and then the brackets, I guess what they're called. Personally, I think I sound kind of sexy with this voice. All right. All right. Sidetracked. All right. Let's go ahead and hit 7 to go into top view. Position the cursor here and hit Shift A. We're going to add in a curve, Bezier curve. And then going 1 on the numpad to go into front view, 5 to go into orthographic view, and Z to go into wireframe. Just bring this up so that it's right in the middle of your handle thing. 7 on the numpad to go back into top view. Z to get out of wireframe. What we're going to do is hit, let's go ahead and hit, let's just bring this over here. We're not going to hit anything. Bring this here. We're actually going to hit tab to go into edit mode. We're going to start the first curve here. And then the second one, bring it in here. You can also hit the S key to scale them down a little bit because they are way too big. All right, cool. So just like that. So basically, both kind of facing each other actually like that. And now we want to extrude it, so you could either hit the E key, bring it out here, rotate it, or another way to a shortcut key for extruding, or a cool way is control left click, and it will basically extrude it. So let's control left click there and control left click here, and then just adjust these so that they're the same as the other side over there. Boom. And then we could select this one, SY, to scale up on the Y axis like that. Cool. Let's give it a little bit more depth to this thing, because right now it's a little flat. Tab to go into object mode. Go to the bezier curve option menu. We're going to change it from fill to half to full. And then the secret sauce is adding in the depth. So increase this amount right here. You can see that the resolution of it is pretty low, because right now it's 4 sides. So also increase the resolution to about 3. You can also get out orthographic view, 5 on the numpad. And then there we go. Now I'm going to decrease the depth a little bit. I want it to be a little skinnier. And then hitting tab, just make sure to align this how you want it, because we're going to be converting this into a mesh, and it's going to be a lot harder to change after. You could hit SY and scale this. You could also select these 3 right here and hit W, subdivide, so that gives you 2 more two more segments here, so that you could give it a little more of a shape right here if you want. Something like that. I kind of want it crooked like that, and then just adjust this. You can scale it. All right, cool. I'm not going to mess around too much with it for the tutorial. Also, selecting just the endpoints of the segments affects it as well. All right, when you got it the way you want it, I'm just going to delete these for now. So I'm just going to select those 2, delete vertices. Select this, SY, scale it back out. I was just showing you that so that you could do that if you want it to look like that. All right, now that when you got your handle how you want it to look, bring that closer. What we're going to do is, because right here the caps are open, we're going to hit Alt C, and then convert it from a curve to a mesh. So convert to mesh. Now when we hit tab, we no longer have bezier handles, but we have a mesh. Pretty cool, but we can't adjust it as easily. We're going to hit Control Tab, go into vertex select mode, Alt right click this loop, F to fill that face, and then right here, Alt right click that loop, F to fill that face. And now we have a handle for our bucket. It's looking pretty, this bucket's looking pretty sexy, if I do say so myself. All right, now the last part, we need to add in the, I don't know what they're called. Man, I don't know what anything on this bucket is called except for the handle and the bucket, I guess. We're going to add in the circular metal rings things. All right, cool. We'll just go with that. 7 on the numpad. Select the bucket. Shift S, cursor to selected, so that's in the center. Shift A, we're going to add a mesh cylinder. And again, right when you add this, you're going to go to this menu here. Cap fill type, you have different options. We're going to put nothing so that there's nothing to fill it. And then the vertices, we're going to leave it. Scale this down on the Z axis, SZ, and then S to scale it out a little bit. Depending on how thick you want them, just go ahead. Again, you don't have to make your bucket look exactly the same as mine. It's mainly about getting the techniques down. Your bucket could look completely different. That is completely fine and awesome. Let's scale this so that it's a little bit thicker than the bucket. We're going to hit Tab to go into edit mode, E to extrude, and then right click to leave that there. And then right after that, hit the S key to scale it, and then Shift Z to scale it inwards a little bit. Shift Z, basically what that does, it will when you hit Shift Z, it will scale it on all the axes except the Z axis. So for example, if you hit S to scale and then Shift X, it will scale it on both the Z and the Y axis, but it will exclude the X axis. So Shift X excludes the x-axis when you rotate, scale, or manipulate. Alright, now that we got that there, that's cool, that's cool. What I'm going to do is Alt, right click that, and then Z, Shift, Alt, right click this inner loop as well. And I'm just going to S to scale it, Shift Z. I'm just going to scale it up, just S, Shift Z, and then hold the Shift key to scale it up very lightly like that. Because since our bucket is going from smaller to bigger, I kind of want this to follow and be a little bit bigger at the top than the bottom, but just very slightly. Tab to go into object mode. Let's set the shading to smooth. And there we go. Now I think the normals are fine on here, but maybe they're not. I don't think so. So again, I'm going to show you this quickly because I get so many people having troubles with normals. Normals are basically the way that the faces are facing, the direction in which the faces are facing. So if your normals aren't facing the right way, you get trouble with shading, such as right here. You can see it's darker than this right here. You get troubles with textures, with lighting, with a lot of different things. Now, the normals, just to show you a little bit more, if I hit the N key to bring up this panel here, you can go all the way down and go to Mesh Display right here. Under normals, you could select this and it will show you the normals of, well, first you have to select everything. It will show you the normals of the vertices or show you the normals of the faces right here. So right now you can see that the normals of this are just fine. If I hit Shift H to hide that, you can see that some of the normals are fine actually, because if I go in here, this is the direction of the face, by the way. This is basically the face normal. So these are all fine. However, if I go inside my mesh, and let me just select this and hit the delete key on the numpad to zoom in basically. If I go inside the mesh, you can see that the normals of these and these right here are going inwards. So the direction of the face is facing inside of the mesh instead of going outside and down right here. We do have a normal problem with this object. So what we're going to do is hit A to select everything and then Control N. And you can see right away that it basically flips all the normals of the face, and now all the normals will face the right direction, and this will not give you any more problems with the lighting, the shadows, or the texturing. So again, I want to show you just that because so many people have trouble with normals, and this is a handy tool to show you which way your normals are facing. And again, the normal of a face is basically just the direction that the face is projecting, so to say, or how the light bounces off of it. Alright, let's turn this off. Hit Tab to go into object mode, Alt H to unhide everything. And now what I'm gonna do is select this. I'm going to hit 7 on the numpad to go into top view. We're gonna add the little nubs or the little bolts in it. In order to do that, making sure my cursor is still in the middle, I'm actually gonna select the bezier circle. Shift S cursor to selected to make sure of that. Shift A, add in a mesh UV sphere, and then 1 to go into front view, Z to go into wireframe, 5 on the numpad to go into orthographic view, Tab to go into edit mode, Control Tab, vertex select mode, deselect everything with the A key, and then hit the B key to box select the bottom half of the sphere, X, and delete the vertices. Cool. Now hitting Tab to go back into object mode, 5 on the numpad to get out of there, and Z to go back into solid mode. I'm going to smooth this out. We're going to add a modifier, an array modifier, and then increase that to 4 for now. Add a modifier, curve modifier, and switch the curve object to bezier circle. And we have a really interesting result right here, but what we're going to do is hit Tab to go into edit mode, A to select everything, S to scale it down, And then if you go back to object mode, you can see that the spheres are there. I'm also going to bring this down so that it's kind of aligned with the 3D origin, because this is going to be based off the 3D origin. And you can see that they're flipped the wrong way. So what I'm going to do is hit R, X, 90, and negative sign, so it flips them negative 90 degrees. So now they're facing the right way. However, they're still inside the bucket. So basically if I hit, we're going to be going in and out of edit and object mode, because in edit mode is how we're going to move it. Object mode is going to be how we're going to see it. So if I go to edit mode, and this is based, the position of this in relation to the origin right here in the middle is going to define the position of it. So right here, you can see that it's basically right there in the bucket. If I bring it higher above the origin point, it will be further out. I'm also going to scale them down a little bit. Scale down a little bit. And in object mode, I'm just going to hit GZ, bring them down, and in edit mode, scale it way down to about there. Cool, and now let's go in a view where we could kind of see both. And now going in and out of edit mode, I'm just going to, you can see that there's still some space right here, so I'm going to hit tab, bring this in, and there we go. It seems like it's within the thing. Now I'm just going to increase the offset. Let's just something like that. Increase the count to 16 maybe. And there we go. That should be fine. Now if you want to get this closer to the first one, in object mode you could scale it up or down, and it will you know, it will change how far or close it goes from the first or second one. Obviously if you scale it way down like that or way up, you'll then need to adjust it in edit mode. The scale and also the how far it is away, because obviously if I scale it up here, it's going to be far away from the bucket, so in edit mode you'll have to bring it back in. Cool, but that's good for now. For that, now all I'm going to do is select the ring thing. The ring thing, great, it has a new name I think, and shift select the other things, the bolts. Shift D, Z, bring it up. And what I'm going to do here is just, I'm going to hit S to scale it up just a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to do that, because then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to select this independently, scale this up a little bit, and then select the nubs in there. Hit tab to go into edit mode, and then just bring them out or up on the y-axis a little bit, which will bring them out. Cool, let's do the same thing for the bottom. Select these two, Shift D, Z, bring it down, select this, the ring, scale it down, and then with these, the nubs, just tab to go into edit mode, bring it back down a little bit to bring it into the ring. And there we have it. There is our bucket, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to hit A to select everything, G and Z. Bring it up above the grid floor at least. Come on. And there we have it. So hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you found some useful little tips and tricks. Obviously, you could go ahead and texture this bucket, use it in other scenes, or just use the techniques that you learned here. Would love to share your work. If you have a request for a tutorial, make sure you go to BlenderMania3D.com and go to the request tutorial tab. Please request a tutorial, share your work on the forums, join the community, participate in the contest that's happening right now, win some awesome prizes. And with that, appreciate you guys, and make sure to share this video if you found it helpful. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now, and see you in the next one. All right. It's been a while. I'm terrible at goodbyes now. Ciao for now. Au revoir.